When traffic comes to a complete stop in Germany, the drivers, by law, must move towards the edge of each side to create an open lane for emergency vehicles. I'm guessing this is a whole lot easier to do when the road only has 2 lanes. I'm not exactly sure how we're supposed to do the same thing in LA. This is a gold depository at the New York Federal Reserve back in 1959. I'm assuming that these metal shoe things are kind of required since you're just stepping on them. I wonder how much that'd be worth today. Guess we have an answer. Each of those gold bars would be worth $750,000 today if you're wondering. No wonder bank heists were still a thing back then. Why not just give it a shot? All you need is one of those bad boys. This shows you the unreal body control horse archers have to have. I mean, the guy literally he's not even on a level field. He's on a trampoline, obviously. But look at his arms. His arms are not moving. How does one learn this ability? Now imagine the Mongol Empire having like thousands of these guys. If you're able to ride a horse full speed with also pinpoint precision with some sort of bow and arrow, obviously you're gonna take everything over. People in Australia literally see the moon upside down. Here's a picture of the moon from the United Kingdom. Meanwhile, that same exact spot is literally up north on this giant rock if you're viewing from Australia. And that is why people from the northern hemisphere are able to view the moon top to bottom, but people from the southern hemisphere, yeah, they're kind of looking at it in a upside down sort of way. Man, oh man, finally, it's all starting to make sense. Australia really is upside down land. They aren't just memes. It's literally all coming together. Now, to be fair, anyone south enough in the southern hemisphere is gonna see the moon like this. They're gonna be viewing more of the southern pole of this rock, not so much the northern pole. You actually view Luna here in drastically different ways depending on where you are in the planet. The waxing and waning of the shadow across the moon's face is gonna look drastically different. I really like this one on the equator. I want to see the moon as just like a half circle like this, or perfectly horizontal, which can be seen at the North Pole. Until recently, it was considered polite and proper to wear the dress of the people you visited. Here are some historical examples. Ooh, that Japan one though. This was just especially awkward since the rising sun flag for Japan is now very controversial. Wonder what Japan would say about all this. This is probably one of those things that's just a US thing, to be honest. I think a lot of countries still consider it polite. Venezuela has the weakest currency in the world as of now, with 1 million Venezuela Bolivar valued at close to $1 US. People literally use it to make artwork now, which this is way more valuable than the actual paper itself. Like, I'd totally buy this thing right here. So as long as you have $1, you are a millionaire in Venezuela. Anyone can be a millionaire somewhere. In 1999, Sony had the chance to buy the rights to every Marvel character for $25 million. They opted to only buy the rights to Spider-Man for just $7 million because no one cared about the other Marvel characters. Ooh, that hurts. The problem is, at the time, they were right, and if Sony did buy all these characters, then more than likely we'd live in a universe where, yeah, probably no one would care, because I wouldn't trust Sony to do as good of a job as Disney's done. Imagine them all just being like Morbius. It's Morbin time. Built in 1939, this lighthouse is possibly the most isolated lighthouse in the entire world. I don't even know how they were able to build this sort of thing. How did they climb this rock face? I guess it can be done. It was probably just really dangerous. How do you get up there? Is that like a helicopter pad too? Like, I get when you have like helicopters, but I'm confused how they did this all the way in 1939. Okay, so they do sometimes use choppers, I was gonna say. I don't think that's a helipad though, is it? And it seems as though the water isn't always chaotic. This is pretty calm here. And the location of this rock is on the Westman Islands, which is actually pretty much Iceland. Yeah. I don't know why I thought it was Russian for a second there. And that thing really is in the middle of nowhere. It does seem like a pretty good lighthouse. Oh, I can't even see the rock with the satellite view. What are these random rocks out here just come into existence like this? Volcanoes or something. Obviously, before the lighthouse was built, this area was extremely dangerous. If you're sailing at night, you're probably gonna hit one of the pillars. And if your boat just crashed into that in the middle of the night, like, there's nowhere to go. Like, there's nothing really to hide in. It's not like it's a deserted island. Like, you just crash and then you just have to swim, and there's just this large rock here. It doesn't seem so fun. German fortification in Brittany, France during WW2. The noises that must have been made when that thing was getting hit, I can't even imagine. You would be deaf instantly for your entire life. Okay, maybe not that drastic, but I don't know. They turned this whole thing into literal Swiss cheese. How did they do that? There's actually a shell lodged into the armor almost 80 years later. Lots of US aerial and naval bombardment happening here too. That's what these scars are looking like. Doesn't look like a fun place to be sitting inside of, just in general, even if it didn't have all those holes in it. Of course, I said it's in Brittany, France, just off the coast right here. I guess that's why it took so much damage. damage. One of the very few photographs of US President Andrew Jackson. This was taken in 1845. That year, he also passed away. Remember, he was in office between 1829 to 1837. He was also a US Senator for a little bit there. Considering this portrait was probably only done maybe like 10 years, 15 years before, it's somewhat accurate. Okay, maybe 20 years before now, looking back. I don't know. They definitely got him looking pretty good on the $20 bill. Crazy that we have a photo of a man that was born in 1767. That is mind-blowing. In the 1970s, North Korea ordered 1,000 Volvo cars from Sweden. The cars were shipped and delivered, but North Korea just didn't bother paying and ignored the invoice. To this day, the bill remains unpaid, making the largest car theft in history. I love this story so much. To this day, they supposedly owe them 2.4 billion pounds. That doesn't even seem accurate. Maybe there was like some inflation on that money. I think that's why. This makes me really want to visit North Korea one day and just kind of start walking around Pyongyang. If I see a single 1970s looking Volvo, I'm gonna lose my mind. A lot of countries just recently began to troll Sweden. North Korea's been doing it for 50 years already. Time for everyone else to catch up. This enormous underground city that once housed around 20,000 people was accidentally discovered by a man after knocking down a wall in his basement. Archaeologists revealed that the city was 18 stories deep and had everything needed for underground life. This included schools, chapels, and even stables. They were bringing horses down there. Imagine just randomly one day discovering this massive Minecraft cave in your house. Like, you had no idea. You didn't build it. One thing's for sure, that you better go down there and try to steal someone's diamonds. So this was an ancient multi-level underground city, and it was founded in Turkey. And it's actually only one of several underground complexes they've found in this area. It is so terrifying to think of why these ancient people were digging down. What was going on at the Earth's surface? Because digging is like 10 times harder to just build something on the regular land up here. I don't even want to begin to try to understand this. People who've actually visited this place in real life are also claiming it is extremely claustrophobic, which probably shouldn't be too surprising. Probably a lot easier just to build this stuff as tiny as possible. Also, weren't humans just smaller back then too? This 36-year-old fisherman drifted more than 10,000 kilometers from Mexico and was found washed up on the shore, spending 438 days at sea. I've always imagined being forced into a situation like this. I give myself like 3 days max to survive. What's crazy is like he just kept going. Like, how did he not just give up after like a full year? Like, okay, I've tried for a full year. I'm probably not gonna get saved. Might as well just stop trying. The dude was found on the Marshall Islands after drifting away from Mexico. He was just out here riding the currents until he got past Hawaii. That must have been really sad if he was able to like see Hawaii slightly. And then somewhere here, the Marshall Islands, yeah, somewhere right here. Man, that would have been also very sad to have missed one of these islands too. Or was his plan just to eventually hit Papua New Guinea or Australia? It's kind of hard to miss those. He mainly survived off fish, turtles, small birds, sharks, and rainwater. He was found without clothes, clutching a knife, and shouting in Spanish. What a Chad. Here is the approximate voyage this man took. Luckily, he didn't just start off on like a random wooden plank though. Like, he had a pretty good sized boat. It could have been way worse. Here's an animation showing what if 8 billion people stood side by side, shoulder to shoulder. So that was the Statue of Liberty. We're still going out. We're still, okay, these are just random objects. I wasn't sure if they all put every human being in a certain city. They're just showing, okay, so there's a lot of human beings. We have a random blimp, but how much could you fit us into? Is it Manhattan, New York? This looks like it could be New York. I'm thinking, wait, so do these structures now displace us? That is Manhattan, New York. So we're still going. There's a random spaceship, the Eiffel Tower. We have a Star Destroyer. Okay. And I'm surprised. 8 billion humans is actually kind of a bit. It would take, 82 kilometers vertical, 29 wide. So you could smash this into like the state of Rhode Island, I think. What if he randomly decided to wake up and do this one day? Yeah, crazy to think that a lot of those people would be from China or India. Both have over 1 billion population. This is the same exact place in the Utrecht, Netherlands, 1980 to 2022. They really did just say, frick cars, we're just gonna get rid of all the cars again. So it can be done. You can do it. Especially like 40 years too. That's a pretty good amount of time to bring back the waters and green stuff. Although the Netherlands have like a special ability with controlling water, as I always meme came about. Maybe, you know, we here in the US couldn't randomly spawn a river, but maybe the green could come back. Utrecht restores historic canal made into motorways in the 70s. Construction work on the emptied canal back in 1972. This is when they were turning it into roads. And then they decided, you know what, let's bring back that nature stuff. That seems like a good idea. And here's what the image looks like today. Definitely gives it a lot more character. Now I'm ready to play some GeoGuessr. I'll be able to figure this out. And big thanks to my patrons. Drew, I forgot to kidnap you. Next date is March 19th, 2023.
The Polish, Lithuanian,
Quinn,
Commonwealth,
Taylor,
Portugal
John,
is
Denver,
not Balkans.
good ol' Rye,
244,
Iowa,
aka Drew, if you don't come to Krakow,
Drew's,
Poland, I will find you.
Argentinian grandpa,
$20 is a lot, Drew.
Why am I doing
Taylor
this?
S.
Drew
and
does
Drew's
everything
goth
for
girl,
$20.
Jack Traven's annoying
Luxembourg
friend,
lover,
Robert
RyeThePie,
Anime,
the
Ralph
Mexican
Twickenhamster,